Hello, YouTube. Let me tell you little bit of my story, my life story. Yeah, I had like hard time with addictions and drugs. I think from around age 14 and 15 till now, basically. That's what I wanted to say in this video when I wrote the script. But the longer I thought about it, the more it seemed it. I wrote the more I realized that I maybe have problems with addictions in general for even longer. I think maybe from like around age of 8 or 9, and I'm 24 now. So if you do the quick math, it's like 15 years. So that's really great, I think. But let's talk about this shit. Okay, so from I think I played video games. That is like one of my main addictions from like age 6. But I don't think it was that bad at the start. And it's always not bad at the start. It's like the common thing you have with all these things. But I think around age 8, 9, I I think it was connected with my parents' divorce because I used to cope really hard with video games, and I used to be, but I was even before then really like hard addict. I used to play like throughout the night till like 4 a.m. and that was when I was like 7, 8. It was fucked up. That was the one thing, okay? But hand in hand, it went with it porn addiction because I used to spend lots of time on computer and on internet. So I came around porn quite a lot, and I liked it. I used to watch lots of hentai and lots of even normal porn. And as a young boys they are really fucking horny. So I used to abuse the shit out of my cock. But that was the other addiction that haunts me to this day. And I started really young. Along with the divorce thing and shit like that came, I think, overeating, and that was like the final nail in coffin for my early development because I used to overeat so much junk food to like cope with shit in my life, and it wasn't my fault at the time. Shit like that happens. Like you can do nothing about it when you're a kid. You don't even have like brain capacity to sort it out. But the more older you get, these things affect you still. But as you are full grown now, as you are of age, like when you are 18, you have to solve it yourself. But it's shit from like 10 years ago, and you don't know what to do about it. But that's another story. Uh, I think from age 14 and 15, I used to get into alcohol a lot because I was depressed as fuck, socially retarded because I used to spend all my time on computer and did really nothing socially. But like, what can you do? But what I discovered is that at the time that when I'm drunk, I can talk normally to people. I don't stutter. I'm not like anxious, and my depression goes away because I don't think about it. But what I really didn't know is that I just only introduced another drug into my life, full of another addictive substances that even caused my depression. I think because from what I learned about dopamine, I think I didn't really have clinical depression. I just was so I just used to do so high dopaminergic shit that I felt like shit. That's like normal because there's like this pain and pleasure balance in your brain that's connected to dopamine, and your brain always wants to keep it in balance. So if you overindulge in pleasure, the pain will come. It will come sooner or later, and it will hit you hard. And that's what happened to me. But I mistook it for depression, and I introduced a little bit of harder drug which was alcohol, and with it came weed. So that was fun combination. I think I pretty much almost died a few times when I abused these things. It was like great experience, but but I didn't really care about these things because I was so fucking deep down in this addiction shit that I felt like shit all the time. Felt like shit all the time. So when I drank or when I smoked weed, I felt normal. I didn't feel like absolutely happy, but I felt great because I mm, I spiked like my dopamine higher with something stronger than before, and I mistook it for like happiness or some shit like that. So that was that. But with these things, it was like gateway for my uh, another addictions that was like on methamphetamine and prescription drugs, and yeah, that was like the final nail in the coffin. These were nasty as fuck. I think with meth in particular, but what the fuck? I can't say this shit. I don't. I think you know what I mean. With meth, it was somewhat like interesting experience for me because I used to get this surge of energy in me, and that was really new for me because at the time I was fat obese fuck who didn't do like shit. I pretty much I was pretty much obese as fuck basically. I didn't really move that much aside from going in the city in Prague where I was drunk as fuck or high on some shit. So when I was introduced to this shit, I felt like, and I would constantly feel like low energy because I was constantly in this low dopamine state because my body wanted to balance the fucking pleasure and pain shit a little bit into pain favor because it wants to keep the balance. And when you just, yeah, I always said that shit. Yeah, so because of that, I was low energy, low motivation, low everything. I was feeling like shit all the time. So when I was introduced to meth, I would think that it's the best shit ever. It's like, what the fuck? I like this. I want to do more of this shit. And that was at the start. And I didn't really. I think first time I had it, I was like 15, and it was totally fucking random. Some random guy I met on the street, and we smoked the meth together. And it was really painful experience because the the state was great. I felt like king of the fucking world, and it was something I didn't experience really. So it was, but there is a little bit of story with this shit. It was the guy was homeless, and we smoked the meth, and I think like pissing from the edge of the. He was living under the bridge basically, and I was pissing from the edge of this shit, and I was holding myself, and then I blacked out, and the next thing I remember, I I woke up in the fucking like it, in pain. I couldn't move a thing in my body, and my leg was fucked up. So what happened was I fall from under the bridge on the fucking concrete street, and fucked up my knee really badly, and I couldn't do shit. And the guy was like, "Oh, bro, I need to call an ambulance." I was like, "No, uh, just get me up. I need to sleep. I'm fucking underage. I don't want that. I don't want to mess with that shit, and I don't want police to know and shit like that, you know." So he just helped me up, and next day I remember that he he was gone, okay? And I had to walk on my fucked up leg. Basically the slightest move I made, it hurt like hell, and I had to walk on that for like hour and a half, totally fucked up. My face all bloody and shit. I looked like a homeless guy to home. And then what I told my father is that I just slipped. Yeah, that's that. But yeah, that's a little bit unrelated to this shit. But what I wanted to say about this is that you always chase the higher state, and with Matt I had this shit too, but it was like the so high, and when it stopped working, that hit me like so fucking hard, and it even messed up my body so much that I dislocated basically both my shoulders when I was on meth. Like the slightest move, I dislocated it, and it haunts me to this day. Sometimes when I make bad move, I dislocate it even now, because once you dislocate it, it can happen anytime. So shit like that. So it's not a, what I want to tell you with these stories is that drugs are never really worth it, and they mess you up physically and mentally too. They fuck up your brain and your body too. So don't mess with that shit. But that's the thing about drugs. It's like not that hard to comprehend that drugs are bad. But what is even worse, I think, are the addictive actions like pornography and video games. Because I I got rid of all the most of the drugs. Okay, most. I smoke even to this day, and I had my first cigarette at like age 7. But that's another story. Yeah, well, I wanted to tell you that I got rid of most of the drug addictions because it's it's more simpler than the addictive actions like jerking off to pornography, or even watching it, or uh, watching or playing video games, or I don't know, gambling. That's really nasty addiction. I know some people that fucked them up really hard, and most of the times these addictions go hand in hand. So when you like do coke, you like to gamble a lot, or when you do meth, you also like to gamble. So what I want you to be aware of is the friends you choose to spend time with, because the environment really makes, I think, biggest difference in addictions. And with drugs, it's like the most key components to getting rid of them actually. So you should never succumb to peer pressure. Be wary of it, and mm, yeah, when you experience many times with people you spend time with, that they pressure you into doing some drugs, I think you should think about cutting them off, or maybe don't, not like entirely, or maybe if you really don't want, if you really like them, but I think most of the times it really makes you better. Yeah, and this thing is, mm, I think we should get right now on the topic of how to stop doing drugs. No, wait. No, 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 not that, not that. Yeah, yeah, okay. Mm, okay. I just talked about a little bit about like hard drugs and shit like that, but the things like there are things I think even worse than that, and that are like normal drugs that you can get anywhere. And it is uh, tobacco or nicotine and alcohol. Yeah, these two you should be really, and sugar also, and like junk food in general. You should be really aware of these things because these addictions are really hard to get rid of. Even I sometimes like binge eat some junk food, and I focus on it really hard to eat healthy, but sometimes I like get this state that I fucking eat every fucking sweet shit I have in my house, and I don't really have many of them because like the environment is the most key component to. Have I already told that? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But I want you to be really aware of the alcohol and nicotine and shit like that because the way that it's present in really everywhere in day-to-day life, that's like really nasty. It has really nasty side to it because the environment change really, which helps most of the times with drugs, doesn't really help with those because you have like easy access to any of them. If you are of age, you can buy any kind of alcohol or any kind of nicotine product you want. Or even and with sugar it's even worse because you can buy those when you are a kid, and when you are a kid you are most prone to buying this shit. Okay, let's move on. Ah. Ah. There's also one uh, topic that I want to touch upon, and that are prescription drugs. Okay, listen to me. You have no business of abusing prescription drugs if you don't have them if you don't have if you are not prescribed them. Is it even? I think it's. And how do I know that? Because I abused them a lot of times, and I was never in by psychiatrist. No, yeah, by psychiatrist. Basically, I was never prescribed these drugs, but I had a lot of friends who were. So we used to always, I don't know what it was. I think with Xanax we used to do that. We used to grind it into powder and snort it like a coke, and that really fucks you up. And we used to always mix that with weed and alcohol. So I think you should really avoid these things altogether. Like everything prescribed, avoid it if you are not if it's not prescribed to you. And it's like, yeah, no shit, but I did it, and I think many people can do it too. So there's that part of advice that I think is really important, because one thing about these things that they are made to alter your brain chemistry, and if it alters it in a bad way, it can fuck you up really bad. It actually did for me. I was, I think I was like 1 year straight. I did all this shit, all these prescription drugs, all different kinds. I didn't even know what they do. I used to have my this one friend that was like fucking expert on this shit. He used to always write the no read the effects on every different kind, every kind possible of prescription drugs, and we used to always these insane mixes. We used to mix different prescription drugs together, mix it with alcohol and weed, and it was fucking insane. Like we, I don't even know why we did it. I think it was connected to this whole like state that you are constantly depressed and you didn't fucking care. I basically lived like this for many years. That I lived like I wouldn't survive to 20s, but then I did, and it fucking sucked because I have to get rid of all the fucking shit that I basically prepared myself in advance. My past myself, my past me, fucked my future me so hard it wasn't even possible. And it was really the big part in it played the prescription drugs, because even when I started taking them, when I uh, when I stopped meeting the people that were prescribed them, I I was fucked so hard. I used to no. I I used to have like this totally apathetic state that I didn't care. I woke up at 2 p.m. and I smoked like so much weed in one day, in one sitting, and played the games all the time. And I thought that was okay. Like, what the fuck? So stay away from prescription drugs if you are not prescribed them. That's what I want to take from it. Okay. Yeah, but one thing about the prescription drugs is also is that I don't know if it's mostly from them, but I think, but I had like this time period of like I think 2 years or something like that where I don't remember shit. I used to be fucking every day. I used to be high on something, mix it with alcohol or weed or do two together, and I don't fucking remember any of it. I have like 2 years of my life are fucking erased. When I sometimes meet some of these people that I used to hang out with, they talk me like, "Oh, I remember this fucking party up." Like what? I don't remember anything. Like, yeah, that's another reason that maybe you should think about your drug abuse. Okay, what I really want to touch upon is that if you had like severe addictions like me, that's like one of the reasons you should always start or rather stop doing these things early, because the more you do them, the harder it is. And for me, basically, it's like never-ending battle. I cannot. I have to like be all the time. I have to be like so focused on not doing anything, because when I slip up, I I do like some random drug, and it just happens. Like it's like it's like fucking habit. You do something so like yeah, what the fuck? And I can give you example of this because I didn't have like any hard drug for I think like 2 years or something like that, maybe even more. I don't count it. So something like that. And I think around 3 months prior to making this video, or maybe even more, like maybe 4 months, like something like that. I used to go, I went to this party um, that my former elementary school classmates made, and I went there only to just like meet the people I haven't seen for a long time and drink some drinks and shit like that. Just talk with people and basically like dance, party, blah blah. And I had this like mindset all the time on these parties, like do not take any hard drugs, because I know how it always ends for me. So I went to this party like 3 times, no, 2 times or something like that, and he made this. The guy that was like hosting it made it like I don't know every 2 weeks or something like that. And I went there for third time, and it was at the end of the party. Everyone was like packing up. There was basically like no one, and this one like former classmate of mine, he was lining up some coke lines, and they were used to me not doing hard drugs, so they didn't even ask me. And suddenly I had this like it was like this. I was like, yeah, can I do some? And I did. And then I had I was partying till I think like 9 a.m. till next day, and that was just like that. I didn't do anything 2 years prior, and it was one time you just say, yeah, whatever, why not, and you go back. But this thing was it was slip up, but I didn't really continue to use more. So when I look at it now, I think it was bad, but it was not as bad. I mean, yeah, whatever. Just I will just move on and not do it again. Yeah. So what I want to say more are yeah, that's really important part, and I could see it when I look at my life is that all addictions are the same thing basically, because you have like the parts of your brain that activates when you overindulge in something, or it's this dopamine pathway. I think it's like the pleasure pathway. It activates for all the drugs the same. It's the same part that activates for all the drugs and all the addictive actions, pornography, everything. So that's why if you build up severe addiction to something, you have more higher chance to be addicted to something else. And when I saw this, I think I saw it in like some human podcast with some. I think her name was Anna Lemke. Yeah, she was like some addictolog, some addiction specialist. I mean, when I heard this, it really made sense to me, because when I think about my life, it's only like it's like chain of addictions, and it made sense to me that I really had easy time to get addicted to hard drugs and weed and alcohol when I was prior addicted to pornography and video games. So that's really like nasty part about addictions, and that's also why you should always stop early. And even like once is enough. Like okay, try it once, but even then you run risk of getting addicted, I think. So I would suggest to not even try it once, but if you like really want, okay, but never again then. And you have to like have this mindset that you are not fucking junkie. Because let me tell you something: if you are addicted to severely addicted to something, it's hard as fuck to get out of it. Okay. Okay. I think that's it for this part of the video, and let's get into what can you do to get out of addictions. What I did and what helped really me, and what can you try? Okay. Let's go. So really, what you really want to do first and foremost is change in environment, because environment really makes lots of your addictions. And what I mean by that is change in the friends you spend the time with. That's like really important part, because if all your friends are junkies, you will not likely succeed in battling your addiction. So what I did, what was like the breaking point for me when I really started to have some success with my addictions, was that I didn't move out. My father basically kicked me out. Okay, and I went to live in this apartment that my grandmother left behind, and that was really what helped me, because I left all this environment I used to overindulge in all the different kinds of drugs, and I left that and went into a completely different environment where I didn't know anyone and I didn't have any access to any kind of drug, and that really helped me greatly, because the environment is really like the biggest part of it, I think. But even then, don't like don't get complacent about this, because even when I changed the environment and I from time to time went back there, I relapsed always. Always when I went back to my old friends, I relapsed. So it's not everything, but when you want to start with this. What's other thing? Other thing. Wait, excuse me. Oh yeah, this one is really important too. What you really want to do when you want to get rid of addictions, you want to embrace boredom, because the boredom is what will how do you want to really what you want to do is have as much boredom as possible, because that means you are not you are not indulging in your addiction, and also that's like one important part, that you have time for yourself where you can think about your life basically, and that goes even hand in hand with this leaving all the people behind that share your addiction, because that also gives you lots of free time to think about. Because if you are not spending time with your junkie friends, you are spending it alone. And that's important part with the embracing of the boredom, because you need to think a lot about your state of living, about why you want to quit, about all this shit. Mm. Really, what you want to do after that, or even with that, is focus on small things every day and focus on today every day. That I will give you example of this. When I was like fucked up, uh, addicted to every possible substance, I used to battle that with cold showers. That was one thing, but I what really helped me most is that I focused on one day to make perfect day without uh, as little of substance abuse as possible. And I started that with going for a walk. I actually just woke up, showered in cold shower, and went for a walk in forest, because I had forest behind my behind the flat I was living in my father, and I would go there, take a walk, and then climb some fucking rocks and shit, and that was really relaxing for me, and it also gave me time to think. It also uh, plunged me out of my environment where I abused everything, out of my room basically. I was away from my computer, away from my weed, away from my other sources of drugs, and I didn't even take phone with me. Yeah, that was great. And you want to do as much of it as possible, but always focus on little things, like cleaning up your room. My room was fucking mess. I had like this fucking path to my computer and the path to my bed, and everywhere else was junk. Fucking every possible garbage you can imagine. So things like cleaning up your room, this like it takes you literally like hour or two at most. And like going for walks and shit like that, it really helped me, and I think it really will help you. And you should really focus on one day at a time, really, because when you are addicted to something, it's really hard and long battle, and you don't want to choose battles that you will lose, because that will reinforce your addiction. You need to choose something that you know you can do for sure, because when you choose something too big for you, like I will never do this shit, do this drug again, and you fail it, that's like it reinforces your addiction so much, because your brain now knows that you can't do it, and it knows way to get the substance that it wants. Okay, because when you crave something, your brain, you are fighting your own brain basically. So you want to choose battles that you cannot lose, because when you lose to your brain, it always gets harder. However, don't, if you like relapse, don't give up. You can always do it, but it's a little bit harder. Okay. Yeah, and what's really important about this is that once you get rid of your addictions, you need to remember that your if it's like severe addiction, you cannot never stop this like hyper vigilant mode, that you cannot just it like connects to the story that I just told you about myself and the coke. You just cannot stop this hypervigilant mode when you just say, "Ah, yeah, maybe I can do it. One time, it's okay, yeah," because then it fucking leads to another time, and it fucks you up. So there's that. Okay, and what you really also want to do when you are struggling with addictions is that clear your day, clear your day of all high dopaminergic bullshit, like social media, like porn, like video games, even junk food. You need to get your levels of dopamine into normal level, because you are feeling like shit because you have it elevated all the time. All the time you have elevated state of dopamine, and your brain wants to balance it with the pain. So you feel depressed and you feel like shit. So what you want to do is take walks, like be away from, touch some fucking grass, okay? Just be fucking away from your mobile and social media. Don't be just fucking this retard that has mobile grown to their hands, okay? Yeah, and I really think what can serve as motivation, that if you manage to for 1 month be free from the thing you are addicted to, and if it's not absolute severe addiction, it should be enough. Like if you are not that addicted, but like not like severely addicted, just 1 month is enough to be free of your addiction. However, for me, as I was severely addicted to many things, I don't think 1 month is enough for me. I think one lifetime might be enough for me, okay? And there is also one thing that is really important to keep in mind when you are dealing with addictions, that you want to tell truth as much as possible. That helped me also really greatly, because I remember when I was at my like lowest, I used to watch like these old, how is it called, old old classes, I think, of Jordan Peterson, and they are like I think now like 12 years old, maybe even more. And he used to talk. I He helped me really a lot with the mindset that I had to get into. And he also talked a lot about truth and lies, and lies really destroy your mental health. And I experienced that myself, because when I used to do all these drugs, I needed to have money for them, and I found a way around it a little bit, which I will maybe tell you some other time. But mostly, I used to lie to my mother and told her that I'm working in some fucking store, and I'm not getting that much money, and then I need to send more. And she sent me many times money, and I used to smoke it up all in bong or some shit like that. So I was lying all the time, and I had to keep up like keep up the lies. So I had to think about them all the time. I had to think about what did I tell to to this man, to these people, what did I tell to these people. I had to like keep four different personas of me at the all times, and it was really mental draining. I couldn't do anything apart from that. That's the one part to do lying. And so what you really want to do is tell truth as much as possible. And I'm I'm showing it to you right now, because I'm telling you truth as as it happens, as I remember it. And I will always tell you truth, even the most fucked up situations. I will tell you what really happened with me in that situation, because that helped me really greatly. I used to lie to my mother, even to all of my family members all the time, even to people I didn't even know that well, so I didn't have any use for it. And I used to get into this habit of constantly lying, even about things that didn't really matter, and I didn't need to lie about them. And that's like you don't want to get into that state. So tell truth as much as possible, or at least don't lie. That's I think I got that from Peterson in one of these videos, like these classes he recorded. Yeah, that's one thing. And there's also the last thing about relapses that I want to touch upon, is that the way how relapse and triggers works is really nasty actually, because the triggers can be even positive things. Mostly they are negatives, but it can be even positive things. And it can be things like something you did before you abused the drug, and when it happens to you in day-to-day life, you get this like anticipation of the drug, because your brain is so used, is like so it's the like the habit of the brain to expect drug after this action. So you get this like higher dopamine state, like this little bit of peak, and then it drops, and that's basically craving, because then you have like this shit state that when you want to do something, like smoke some weed or some shit like that. So cravings are really fucking nasty shit. So be aware that be yeah, be aware about the triggers, because it can be even positive things. Even for me, I think it happened to me sometimes too, when I managed to like 2 months without weed, and then out of nowhere I just went to the guy and smoked weed, and then it spiraled out of control, and I was like again. I smoked weed for like another month, until then I said stop, and it happened to me like that many times. So that's something to be aware of. And I think that's pretty much it for this video. Yeah, it was it was a fucking journey. Okay, if you want to see more content like this, just like and subscribe or some shit like that. And I hope you liked it. I will try to tell more of my experiences with addictions and substances and every possible shit I managed to survive. And yeah, I think till next video. Never stop trying. Da-da.